See what Victor wants us to ask you this, Ovia. Victor, he says, well, please, Mr. Omatseye should be encouraged to watch the debate of last week, and he will see the sincerity of government to deregulate the oil sector. Did you watch the NPAN town hall meeting?
I watched it.
So
it was part comedy and part tragedy, and part gravity, and it was a show, more or less. And I saw some people conspiratedly to defend the subsidy, but at every turn you knew that they were just clutching at straws. They were not really looking at the matter the way it should be looked at. Now you must understand that economics is not about the economy. Economics is about the society. We do not go and read your books on economics because you want to fix things in the economy. You are trying to fix people. The economy is about people. So once you miss that point, you start banding figures and start banding theories. And that is what they were doing. Oil Minister, Finance Minister, Sanusi, and all of them were making the point for subsidy. They were talking from the point of view of Western economy that does not really gel in a society that is a different stage of development.
Even the former NLC president who was in Labour and now in government.
Oshiomhole. Oshiomhole is a governor. Most of the governors support it. Even privately, if you follow the debate, they don't want it. Most of the governors are supporting more for a subsidy because it means that they want money to the states. It's allocation. That's what it's about.
Mr. Omatseye, you still haven't answered my question.
Which question is that?
You said something about transparency.
Yes.
But for me, I'm asking you presently, how, if you were an investor, would you bring your money into this country
now?
To build a refinery, knowing, yes, now,
no, I wouldn't.
knowing,
yes.
But even if we were more transparent, knowing that the government still fixes the price of petroleum products, would you?
Well, I wouldn't, because you know why? I explained it to you that the various chains has been still controlled by government. But if you say you want the regulation itself has to also have rules. Because all the theories of liberal economy still believe that there have to be rules to economy. So whether there are prices fixed or prices not fixed, that is not the issue at this moment. The issue is make the situation transparent. Then we can talk about pricing. You can't create price and start to create the rules.
You talked about the ROTs. Our last guest mentioned, or you're about to take a draft?
Yeah, let's take a look at some of the issues they raised there, which you say was on textbook economics, but let's see what they talked about there.
Okay.
Is to open up this sector so that we can have more competition and more supply of the product at a better price eventually. Next. So let's look at some of the reasons of why we want to remove the subsidy. I've been talking about it now, but one major reason to look at is the financial burden it is to our budget and to our finances in the country. From 2006 to 2011, we spent about the figure has gone. Can you put it back, please? We spent over 3 trillion naira, 3.7 trillion on subsidy. In 2011 alone, up to the end of October, we spent 1.348 trillion. And by the end of this year, we would have spent 1.43 trillion naira on subsidy. Now, why does this matter? It matters because it's eating up more and more of our resources. It's 30% of total federal government expenditure. 118% of the capital. That means it's 18% higher than the amount of money we spend on capital expenditure and 4% of our national income.
It is not in the interest of Nigeria for government to remain in the business of refineries, as it is not in the interest for them to remain in many such businesses. It is in the interest of the economy for government to hold a certain equity participation, a certain investment to protect the economy. But really, these are entities that should be managed by private sector understanding and managerial expertise. And that is what we would like to see. What are the challenges? If you come into the business of refineries today, you will make a slight profit, but not a lot of return on your investment. In Nigeria, because of our population, a refinery is only viable if you are producing at least 100,000 barrels per day. 100,000 barrel refinery will cost you $3.3 or so billion to set up. That is no mean amount. A 200,000 barrel refinery, about $4.2 billion. Therefore, as the CME pointed out, very few people are willing to come in and invest and put down that sort of money up front if they are not assured of a viable commercial return on that investment. So we really have to get real about this.
Well, there you go. If you say that's textbook, that must be Nigerian textbook.
That's figure banding. She's banding figures. She has not really talked about, or both of them have not really talked about in real terms what these consequences are for the ordinary people. That's the point. That's the point I was making.
No, but they're
addressing figures. Now they have not talked about what role their government played in bringing us to this pass.
Did you listen to the president's chat on Friday evening?
I listened to his chat, and I didn't take anything out of that chat, to tell you the truth.
Well, what I took out of the chat was that he said, he admitted that it's going to be hard, but in the next 6 months, if we remove fuel subsidies, 6 months after, we'll begin to see the gains.
Has he been able to give us or give you satisfactory any argument about how this is going to really, how this thing is going to incrementally reduce?
Don't you think we should?
Listen, let me finish what I'm saying. Incrementally reduce the suffering of the people, and at what stage that will happen, and what it will do to do it. I mean, if you say you're a doctor, if you are ill and the doctor says, okay, I'm going to give you injection. Today you have slight headache. Tomorrow it will be less. Your stomach will still be hurting by tomorrow, but 2 days time it will down. If you give us that kind of analysis,
I'm smiling because that was the example he used. Oh, that was the example he used.
No. But the point is that he should give us that kind of. He should give us that kind of analysis in economic terms.
Don't you think? Not in which economic terms?
You unconsciously took something away from the debate.
Exactly.
I took something.
Unconsciously.
No, what I'm saying is I did take something that really made sense to me, because he was using a metaphor. When you know, sometimes when you use metaphors, you use them when they make sense. But when you want to talk in economic terms, you will say, well, within a period of time.
And which economics is that? Nigerian economics or Western economics?
It has to be Nigerian
because
economics.
It
has to be Nigerian economy, because you forget that people like Okonjo-Iweala, they are so schooled in IMF, World Bank environment, and they're trying to just transport it into a developing economy, without digestion.
I give the minister, for the coordinating minister, a little more credit than that. But that's one kettle of fish.
Well, that's you. Very generous.
That's one kettle. That's one kettle of fish. You've already answered the question. The fact that if you're an investor, regardless of whether or not the environment was transparent, you said that you would not invest your money.
No. I said if it were transparent.
Yes.
If it were transparent. Pricing. No, you got me.
I asked you again. I extended that question.
You got me wrong.
I asked you.
If it were transparent.
Yeah.
If it were transparent, then the issue of pricing would be agreed on. It was something that the government will not have the overarching power.
You will come to an environment where you and the government have to negotiate the price at which you sell your product.
There's no system
the forces
in the
of
world.
demand and supply.
There's no system in the world where the government is completely out. So you should understand that the regulation itself is a skewed term.
But from what was said from that debate, I mean, if a government says in 6 months, the government is sticking out its neck.
It's sticking out its neck.
You should give them the benefit of the doubt, saying, listen, in 6 months, you know that if you don't get it right,
by the grace of God, we will be here in 6 months to find out after they put.
So they give them the benefit of the doubt. Then.
I don't give them benefit of the doubt because they've not given me they did not put anything on the table to tell me how they are going to face it. I mean, you have to face it.
All right.
Okay.
Then.
So you're willing. Sorry, Chamele, you're willing.
I'm going to give you. I'm going to infuse this amount of money. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get so amount of job.
You're willing to take fuel subsidy removal if you see a phase in. Is that what you're saying?
No.